Part 1. The Uninvited Guest. Victoria Langley stood at the edge of the grand ballroom, watching crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across marble floors, where hundreds of New York's elite mingled in designer gowns and tailored suits. The Manhattan skyline stretched beyond floor-to-ceiling windows like a glittering backdrop to what should have been the happiest day in Ethan Caldwell's life. She smoothed down her emerald silk dress and felt the weight of the documents hidden in her clutch. 7 years of silent devotion had led to this moment. 7 years of building an empire in the shadows while loving a man who never saw her as anything more than his reliable assistant. The orchestra began playing, and guests rushed to their seats. Victoria slipped into the back row, her heart pounding against her ribs like a trapped bird. She had helped plan parts of this wedding. She had ordered flowers. She had confirmed caterers. She had done it all while her heart slowly shattered into a million pieces. Amber Cross glided down the aisle in a dress that cost more than most people's houses. Her blonde hair was swept up in an elaborate style, and her smile was triumphant. She had won. She had captured the most eligible bachelor in New York. She had secured her place at the top of society. Ethan stood at the altar looking devastatingly handsome in his custom suit. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and his jaw was set with determination. Victoria remembered when that jaw would soften when he laughed at her jokes during late-night work sessions. She remembered when those blue eyes would light up when she brought him coffee exactly how he liked it. She remembered when he would lean close to examine spreadsheets and she could smell his cologne and feel the warmth radiating from his body. But Amber had swept in 18 months ago with her connections and her ambitions and her calculated charm. She had positioned herself perfectly. She had made herself indispensable to his social climbing. She had promised him access to old money circles and political connections. She had offered him everything except genuine love. Victoria had watched it all unfold from her desk outside his office. She had scheduled their dates. She had bought Amber's birthday gifts. She had even helped pick out the engagement ring that now sparkled on Amber's finger. The officiant began speaking, and Victoria's hands trembled. She had replayed this moment 1,000 times in her mind. She had imagined standing up and objecting. She had imagined Ethan turning around and finally seeing her. She had imagined him running down the aisle and sweeping her into his arms. But reality was crueler than fantasy. He was really going to marry someone else. He was really going to pledge his life to a woman who saw him as a trophy in a bank account. Victoria had spent the last 3 years secretly buying shares of Caldwell Industries through shell companies and proxy investors. She had used her inheritance from her grandmother. She had invested every bonus and every dollar she could save. She had worked with lawyers who specialized in corporate anonymity. Nobody knew that the quiet assistant who fetched coffee and scheduled meetings was actually the majority shareholder of a multi-billion-dollar empire. Not even Ethan knew that his company's fate rested in the hands of the woman he had overlooked. The vows began, and Amber's voice rang out clear and confident. She promised to love and honor and cherish. She promised forever. But Victoria heard the hollowness beneath the words. She saw how Amber's eyes flickered to the guests watching. She saw how this was a performance. Meanwhile, Ethan's voice was steady but detached. He was going through the motions. He was doing what was expected. He was marrying the right woman for his career and his image. Victoria's moment was coming, and her entire body felt electric with anticipation and terror. The revelation. The officiant smiled broadly at the couple and announced that Ethan could kiss his bride. Amber leaned in with practiced grace, and the room erupted in applause. Victoria remained seated, feeling like she was watching her world end in slow motion. But then something inside her shifted. She had not come this far to simply witness her defeat. She had not built an empire in secret to remain invisible forever. She had not sacrificed everything to let this moment pass without consequence. As the newlyweds turned to walk back down the aisle, Victoria stood up. Her movement caught the attention of several guests near her. She walked toward the front of the room, her heels clicking against the marble floor with each deliberate step. The crowd quieted, sensing something unexpected was happening. Ethan and Amber paused halfway down the aisle, confusion flickering across their faces. Victoria reached the microphone stand near the orchestra and the sound. Technician looked at her questioningly, but something in her eyes made him step aside. She tapped the microphone, and feedback squealed through the ballroom. Every eye turned toward her. Ethan's face went pale with recognition. Amber's expression shifted from confusion to irritation. Victoria took a deep breath and began to speak. Her voice was steady despite the hurricane of emotions swirling inside her chest. She told them all that she had something important to share with the happy couple. She told them that she had known Ethan for 7 years. She told them that she had worked beside him through late nights and early mornings and every crisis and triumph. She told them that she had watched him build Caldwell Industries from a struggling startup into a powerhouse. She told them that she had been there when no one else believed in him. She told them that she had loved him through every moment of it all. The room was silent, except for the sound of shot gas and whispered conversations. Amber's face turned red with anger, and she grabbed Ethan's arm possessively. But Victoria was not finished. She reached into her clutch and pulled out a folder containing documents that her lawyers had prepared. She held them up for everyone to see. She explained that she was not just Ethan's assistant. She was not just someone who scheduled his meetings and organized his files. She was the majority shareholder of Caldwell Industries. She owned 51% of his company. The revelation hit like a bomb. Ethan staggered backward, his face draining of color. Amber's mouth fell open in disbelief. The guests erupted into chaos, with people standing and shouting questions and pulling out their phones. Victoria continued speaking over the noise. She explained how she had quietly purchased shares over 3 years. She explained how she had used every resource at her disposal. She explained how she had remained anonymous to protect him and the company. She explained how she had done it all because she believed in him, even when he did not see her. Ethan finally found his voice and demanded to know if this was true. His tone was sharp with betrayal and shock. Victoria met his eyes, and for the first time in 7 years, she let him see everything she had hidden. She let him see her love. She let him see her pain. She let him see her power. She told him it was all true. She told him every word was documented and verified. She told him that she had been the silent force behind his success, and he had never even noticed. Amber recovered from her shock and launched into a verbal attack. She called Victoria obsessed and pathetic. She accused her of sabotage and manipulation. She demanded that security remove her from the wedding. But Victoria stood her ground. She pointed out that Amber had only been interested in Ethan's wealth and status. She pointed out that Amber had pushed him to make business decisions that benefited her family's interests. She pointed out that this marriage was a transaction, not a love story. The truth hung in the air like smoke, and no one could ignore it anymore. Ethan looked between Victoria and Amber, his world crumbling around him. He had just married a woman he barely knew while overlooking the woman who had been his foundation all along. The aftermath security guards approached, but Ethan held up his hand to stop them. He stared at Victoria with an expression she could not quite read. Anger mixed with confusion, mixed with something that might have been recognition. He asked her why she did not tell him before. He asked her why she waited until his wedding day. He asked her why she would humiliate him like this in front of everyone he knew. His voice cracked on the last question, and Victoria felt her heart break all over again. She told him she had tried to tell him. She told him about the countless times she had stayed late hoping he would notice her. She told him about the birthday 3 years ago when she had almost confessed over champagne in his office. She told him about the night before he proposed to Amber when she had written him a letter that she never sent. She told him that she had always been invisible to him. She told him that today was not about humiliation, but about finally being seen. She told him that she could not watch him marry someone who did not truly love him without at least trying to make him understand what he was throwing away. Amber interrupted with venom in her voice. She told Ethan that Victoria was clearly unstable. She told him that they needed to call lawyers immediately. She told him that they needed to protect his assets from this obvious manipulation. She told him that their marriage was legal and binding, and nothing Victoria said could change that. She told him to choose between his crazy assistant and his wife. She told him to prove his loyalty right now in front of everyone. But Ethan was not looking at Amber anymore. He was staring at Victoria as if seeing her for the first time. Memories flooded back to him. Victoria bringing him soup when he was sick. Victoria staying until midnight to help him prepare for crucial presentations. Victoria laughing at his terrible jokes. Victoria knowing exactly what he needed before he asked. Victoria always being there like oxygen he never thought to appreciate until it was gone. He remembered small moments he had dismissed. The way she smiled when he walked into the office. The way she blushed when their hands accidentally touched. The way she looked at him when she thought he was not paying attention. He took a step toward Victoria, and Amber shrieked in protest. She grabbed his arm harder. She reminded him that they were married. She reminded him that she had connections and influence. She reminded him that leaving her would destroy his reputation. She reminded him that she could ruin him socially and professionally. She reminded him that he needed her family's political access. But her words sounded hollow now. Everyone in the room could see the truth. This was a business arrangement and nothing more. Victoria's lawyers approached and handed Ethan copies of all the documentation. He flipped through pages showing shell company acquisitions and stock transfers and proxy voting rights. Everything was legitimate and legal and absolutely real. Victoria owned controlling interest in his life's work. She had the power to fire him. She had the power to sell the company. She had the power to destroy everything he had built. But she had not used that power. She had protected him and supported him and loved him from the shadows. Ethan looked up from the papers and asked Victoria what she wanted. His voice was quiet now. The anger had drained away, leaving only exhaustion and confusion. Victoria felt tears threatening, but she refused to cry in front of all these people. She told him she did not want his company. She told him she did not want to control him. She told him she just wanted him to know the truth. She told him she wanted him to understand that real love looked like sacrifice and support and showing up every single day. She told him she wanted him to be happy, even if that happiness did not include her. The ballroom had gone completely silent. Guests watched the drama unfold like they were witnessing a movie. Amber released Ethan's arm, realizing she had already lost. Her calculated mask slipped, revealing the cold ambition underneath. She told Ethan he was a fool. She told him he was throwing away everything for sentiment and nostalgia. She told him that Victoria was manipulating him with emotion. She told him to think logically about what this meant for his future. But her arguments fell flat because everyone could see she was only worried about her own future. Ethan turned to Amber and told her he needed time to think. He told her this wedding was a mistake. He told her he was sorry, but he could not continue this charade. Amber's face twisted with rage, and she slapped him hard across the face. The sound echoed through the ballroom. She screamed that he would regret this. She screamed that her family would destroy him. She screamed that he was nothing without her connections. Then she stormed out, leaving her bouquet abandoned on the floor. The guests began leaving in clusters, whispering and gossiping, and already spreading the story across social media. Ethan and Victoria stood facing each other in the emptying ballroom. 7 years of unspoken feelings hung between them, like a bridge neither knew how to cross. Victoria turned to leave, but Ethan called her name, and something in his voice made her stop and wait. The truth unveiled. Ethan walked toward Victoria slowly, as if afraid she might disappear if he moved too quickly. He stopped a few feet away and ran his hand through his hair, in a gesture she knew meant he was overwhelmed. He asked her how long she had felt this way. He asked her how he could have been so blind. He asked her how she could have stayed beside him, watching him make mistake after mistake. His voice was raw with emotion and regret. Victoria could see the weight of realization crushing down on him. She told him she had fallen in love with him during their first year working together. She told him about the moment she knew. It was 2 a.m, and they were trying to save a deal that was falling apart. Everyone else had gone home. Ethan had looked at her across the conference table and smiled and told her they made a good team. Something in that smile had unlocked her heart. She told him she had tried to move on. She told him she had dated other people. She told him nothing ever felt right because her heart belonged to someone who did not even know it. Ethan closed his eyes and pain etched across his features. He told her he had been such an idiot. He told her he had been so focused on building his empire that he missed what was right in front of him. He told her he had convinced himself that marrying Amber was the smart choice for his career. He told her he had ignored the emptiness he felt every time Amber kissed him. He told her he had pushed away the nagging feeling that something vital was missing from his life. He told her that something vital had been Victoria all along. Victoria felt tears finally spill down her cheeks. She told him it was too late. She told him he was married now. She told him she had not revealed everything to win him back. She told him she had done it because he deserved to know the truth before he wasted his entire life on a lie. She told him she would transfer her shares back to him. She told him she would resign from the company. She told him she would disappear and let him live his life. She told him she just needed him to know that someone had loved him genuinely and completely. But Ethan shook his head and stepped closer. He told her she was wrong. He told her it was not too late. He told her Amber had married him for his money and connections, not for love. He told her the marriage could be annulled. He told her he had made a terrible mistake, but he could fix it. He told her he did not want her to disappear. He told her he could not lose her now that he finally understood what she meant to him. He told her he needed time to untangle the mess he had created, but he was willing to fight for a chance with her. Victoria looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity. She had dreamed of this moment for so long, but now that it was here, she felt terrified. She asked him how she could trust that he really wanted her, and not just the power she held over his company. She asked him how she could believe this was real when hours ago he was marrying someone else. She asked him how they could build something genuine on a foundation of chaos and public humiliation. She asked him if he was just reacting to shock and emotion. Ethan reached out and gently took her hand. His touch sent electricity through her entire body. He told her he understood her doubts. He told her he had earned every bit of her skepticism. He told her he could not prove his feelings with words alone. He told her he would show her through his actions. He told her he would spend however long it took earning her trust. He told her he had been sleepwalking through his life until she woke him up today. He told her that for the first time in years he felt truly alive and awake and aware of what mattered. The ballroom staff began cleaning up around them. Flowers were being packed away. Chairs were being stacked. The evidence of the failed wedding was disappearing piece by piece. Victoria realized they were standing in the ruins of one story and possibly at the beginning of another. She told Ethan she needed time too. She told him they could not just jump into something after what happened today. She told him he needed to officially end things with Amber. She told him he needed to figure out what he really wanted. She told him she needed to protect her heart. Ethan nodded and squeezed her hand. He told her he would give her all the time and space she needed. He told her he would handle the legal complications with Amber. He told her he would be patient. He told her he would prove himself worthy of her love. He told her that 7 years ago she had seen potential in him when no one else did. He told her now he was finally seeing her. He told her he would not waste this second chance. He told her she was the best thing that had ever happened to him, and he had been too stupid to realize it. Victoria pulled her hand away gently. She told him she would be watching. She told him actions spoke louder than words. She told him she had built an empire in secret, and she was not some fragile thing to be won easily. She told him if he wanted her heart, he would have to work for it the way she had worked for everything she accomplished. She told him she deserved someone who would choose her first, not as an afterthought. She told him to prove he could be that person. Then she walked out of the ballroom, leaving Ethan standing alone among the ruins of his wedding day. New beginnings. 3 months passed like a slow burn. Ethan filed for annulment, citing fraud and misrepresentation in the marriage. Amber fought him viciously, but the prenuptial agreement she had insisted on worked in his favor. Her family threatened lawsuits and social destruction, but Ethan stood firm. He realized that without their approval, he felt freer than he had in years. The society pages buzzed with scandal, but he stopped caring about his image and started caring about his integrity. Victoria had taken a leave of absence from Caldwell Industries. She traveled to Paris and London and Tokyo. She attended business conferences and met with investors.